There was something strange about the iceberg that these three fishermen noticed. The discovery they made altered their lives. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Alan Russell, Mallory Heron, and Cliff Russell are good friends who like to go fishing together. This made it even more ideal to develop such a pastime into a successful company. They started a fishing business and purchased a fishing boat. One of the hardest jobs on the globe has to be fishing. It's critical to rise early in order to plan ahead and get ready for anything the sea may have in store. To bring in a large haul of fish, fishermen must also use a great deal of energy and time in the water. The three of them cherish their time together, despite the fact that it can be challenging at times. They would never have guessed that day would have such a profound impact on their lives at such an early age. As usual, they all prepared to go. Mallory was feeling optimistic about her day. She was unaware of what was ahead for the entire group that day, though. Who would have guessed that the simplest part of the task was actually getting the boat ready? Cliff, Alan, and Mallory enjoyed sharing stories and making jokes to kill time. Despite having known one another for a very long period, they were never at a loss for conversation topics. They stopped the boat's motor when they got to their location and stayed there. They thought that today would be just like every other day because they had always had fantastic luck catching crabs there. The three of them were astounded by what they saw when it came time to remove the cages. It proved to be the greatest day they had had thus far. After finishing their job there, they reasoned that moving to the icier water would increase their luck. But the further out they took the boat, the greater risk they realized they would be taking. They could not even see birds that far off from the coast. They were unconcerned, though, because everything appeared serene and tranquil. In actuality, though, this was untrue. Who would have guessed that there was a background problem? In the Labrador Sea, icebergs may be seen drifting in large numbers. Because of this, even seasoned anglers should avoid the region. These fishermen may have an accident or possibly lose their lives if they failed to notice crucial information or made a wrong turn while traveling. There was something strange about this particular iceberg, even though they were common in this area of the ocean. They all sensed something off about the iceberg, but none of them could identify it. There was a black area at the top. They were so far away that it was hard to identify what it was. Mallory assumed it was a seal attempting to soak up some sun. Upon examining the creature through his binoculars, Alan informed the others that it did not resemble a seal in the slightest. The animal's movements have a peculiar quality. They concurred that it was critical to go closer to the iceberg. Now, they were all inquisitive. They were aware that deviating from their customary path posed a danger, but Alan was able to persuade the others that the chance was worthwhile. The fur of the creature stuck on the iceberg was quickly revealed. It was also evident to them that it was quite damp. They realized the little animal might not make it very far because of the strong wind blowing from that direction. It was crucial that they go cautiously through the frigid waters. They were aware that if a chunk of ice fell beneath their boat, it may sustain some harm. The waves started to become bigger, which made things much more difficult. The boat's motion became increasingly erratic. Mallory cautioned Cliff and Alan to exercise caution. Additionally, they were afraid that the poor animal would get so terrified that it would just leap into the sea. It was critical that they accelerate the boat if they were to stay ahead of the iceberg. You can only imagine how much more difficult it was to find the iceberg. They were eventually able to get a better look at the animal when they drew closer to the iceberg. They noticed that it resembled a dog in form. They could tell the animal was shivering and drenched from that point on. It dawned on them that cooperation was essential to save this helpless animal. To make sure it wouldn't freeze to death, they had to exert every effort. They at last understood what this beast was when they drew nearer to the iceberg. It was an Arctic fox, not a seal. They were too busy wondering how it got there. The team had to postpone their fishing trip while they worked out a solution. The fox was drenched and cold. Not only that, but there was not much time left to reach safety. It had to be saved. But there was another issue. Was the poor fox going to put its life in their hands now? They had to tame this beast with their hands extended as the first task. But this Arctic fox was nothing like a domesticated home pet. It just retreated, not approached. At that point, the fox began to approach them. It was well aware that this was its sole means of escape. The fox approached the boat cautiously. The fox quickly moved away from the fisherman, indicating that it was afraid. It was damp and chilly as it curled up in the corner. Before the fox died, it was crucial that they get it warm. They still had a few miles to travel before they reached the beach, and Mallory was in charge of navigating the boat back home. The animal may be kept warm by the sawdust the others discovered in the boat. After that, they used the sawdust to make the small animal a cozy bed. It should be sufficient to keep heat in. The fox quickly hid itself in the sawdust. They also took care to position it in the boat's sunniest area. As they returned to the shore, they let it sleep. For now, the fox was warm and alive. Mal offered fish and crab to the animal, but it declined to consume them. They were very certain that it would be ravenous. Mallory pulled out 2 Vienna sausages and tossed them into the river, giving them to the fox. The fox seemed to think this was preferable. The fox went back to sleep after devouring all the sausages that they had left for him. It remained asleep till they reached the coast. Once they reached the Canadian beach, they had to decide on the best course of action for this animal. She remembered one specific location that she believed would be ideal for this fox. Since it wasn't too far from the beach, she decided it would be a good idea to release it there. They granted the fox complete autonomy over decision-making. The trash can was placed on the ground close to the doghouse. The animal remained inside the container for a short period, but then it clambered out of the cage. It started examining its new surroundings after shaking off the sawdust from its fur. It seemed to be calming down as it began to investigate its surroundings. It actually looked rather comfortable over there. It was finally time to return to their boat and the dock. Now that they'd accomplished their goals, it was time to head home. We have no doubt that they will always remember this dreadful day. They would remember that fantastic trip for the rest of their lives. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.